Hello students, today we have come to the second part of the last chapter, Memories of Childhood. Let me recall the first part of it, the cutting of my long hair. You remember that story? Yes, that was part 1 of Memories of Childhood, and here we are to the second part of it, We Too Are Human Beings by Bama. Doesn't this title tell you something about it? We too are human beings. Even we are human beings. That means yes, let's go ahead and watch it out. So again, as usual, about the author. Bama, also known as Bama Fortisna Susairaj, it's a Tamil name, so maybe the pronunciation will differ, is a Tamil Dalit woman writer who has contributed many literary works to Dalit literature such as novels, short stories, poems, etc. Dalit woman as in, the people who belong to the lower caste. So she has targeted, as in she has, she's talking about them. All about that literature. There's novels, short story, poems, etc. She rose to fame, she became famous with her autobiographical novel, Karuku, that she published in 1992, which chronicles the joys and sorrows experienced by Dalit Christian women in Tamil Nadu. Now, here chronicle as in, she puts the whole event in a particular sequence. The way it happens in the same occurrence, in the way it happened in the same sequence, she put them down. She put it in her autobiography. So, let's see what she has in store for us. Here's the plot. We Too Are Human Beings describes the story of a fun-loving little girl. She loves to observe every bit of thing happening in and around her street. So this little girl seems to be like a grandma, isn't she? Let's go further. But one day, she, while noticing an incident, comes to know about the reality of a social evil in our country, that is the practice of untouchability. Well, we have learned history, and I'm sure today it does not exist in major parts of the country, but maybe still in the rural areas, I guess there does exist, but I'm sure very soon we'll be done with it. It's ironic how she initially thought the entire incident to be ridiculous and laughable. Initially for her, it was a joke. She laughed it out. She really thought it was very, very funny. But on being told about the discrimination faced by her community, she is very angry at such thoughts and talks about how they too are human. So initially she felt it was fun, it was joke. But then when she was told about the discrimination with her community, oh, it really made her extremely angry, and she just could take it no longer. That's where she says, even we are humans, so why with us? Let's see how she does it. When I was studying in the 3rd class, I hadn't heard people speak openly of untouchability. Now, she was just in the 3rd class. I mean, how much could she understand about untouchability? But I had already seen, felt, experienced, and been humiliated by what it is. She had gone through it in some form or the other. She had seen it, she had experienced it, and of course, she had been insulted, embarrassed. I was walking home from school one day, an old bag hanging from my shoulder. She was back going home from school. It was actually possible to walk the distance in 10 minutes. Now, the distance from her, school to her house was basically 10 minutes walk it was. But usually it would take me 30 minutes at the very least to reach home. Now, this grandma would walk very slowly, enjoy her walk, look left, look right, observe things. And so instead of reaching in 10 minutes, she would take thrice the time, and she would reach in 30 minutes. And all that she would do during those extra, those 30 minutes, here it is, right in front of you. It would take me from half an hour to an hour to dawdle along, watching all the fun and games that were going on. To dawdle along as in move slowly, waste time. When you don't have anything to do and you're on the street, you walk it in your own masti, and that is what she was doing. She was walking in her own mood. And what she would see, watching all the fun and games that were going on, all the entertaining novelties, that was the new or unfamiliar experiences, something she would observe, something new which she had never come across before. She would see that. And oddities. Oddities are strange or peculiar things. Now maybe something odd, something different, something strange in the streets, the shops and the bazaar. Now as she was walking, you can see this, she would walk through all this around 30 minutes and she would watch everything that's new, everything that's odd, and she would take all her sweet time to go through it. Now, this paragraph tells you everything that she used to notice. So yes, let's keep a track of a few things. It can come as a 2 or a 3 mark question. So you need to remember this, yeah? Of course, not word by word, but if you remember the sequence, it will be way better. You will not miss on anything. So let's go. The performing monkey, the snake which the snake charmer had kept in its box and displayed from time to time. Now, the first thing was the performing monkey. Okay, let's remember the monkey first. Then let's remember the snake. The snake charmer, he used to keep it in that box, and from time to time, he would display the snake. The cyclist who had not got off his bike for 3 days. You remember in the olden days, I don't know if it's there now, maybe somewhere, but yeah, it was a continuous some 3 day, 5 days challenge, where you have to keep riding your bicycle. And so yes, it was 3 days since this man was continuously on his bike and who kept pedaling as hard as he could from break of the day, sunrise, morning. From break of the day, the rupee notes were pinned onto his shirt to spur him on. Here it is to encourage, to motivate him. So he had money, so maybe it was a thing that if you pedal for that many days continuously non-stop, you will get all this money for yourself. The money will be yours. So that money was pinned on his shirt to motivate him. Then the spinning wheels, the Mariatta temple, the huge bell hanging there, the Pongal offerings being cooked in front of the temple. Pongal, is the harvest festival, right, in South India. So yeah, whatever, special they used to make during Pongal. So that was being cooked in front of the temple. The dried fish stall by the statue of Gandhi. Now, someone was selling the dried fish. The sweet stall, the stall selling fried snacks, and all other shops next to each other. There were so many of them. No wonder this little girl of ours, this little grandma of ours would take 30 minutes. She would sit and observe all these. The street light always demonstrating how it could change from blue to violet. The street lights were fancy. The Nari Kuravan hunter gypsy with his wild lemur in cages. Now here, this hunter gypsy is, a nomadic hunter. He would keep moving from place to place. And he had a wild lemur. Lemur is something like a monkey. He has a tail which is in stripes, Watch that picture, you will get to know. So yeah, he would have this in his cage, selling needles, clay beads, and instruments for cleaning out ears. There were all sorts of things available. Oh, I could go on and on. I don't think this is less. This is quite a bit for you to remember for 3 to 4 marks. So yes, just keep the, the scenery with all these things in your mind, and you can write it in your own words. Yeah. Each thing would pull me to a standstill. Every time she would see something and she would stop. She would not go further and not allow me to go any further. She would just stop there and she would sit and watch. She would observe like a grandma. At times, people from various political parties would arrive, put up a stage and harangue us through their mics. Now, because there was a big crowd, so what these political people would do, they would go and put up a small stage there. Now, generally, people don't stop to listen, but there, everyone is there in the bazaar. So, everyone can automatically just by default listen to the people speaking. So, what they would do, these political parties, they would come, they would put up a stage right there in the middle, and they would, give us lecture. They would give speeches through their mics. Then there might be a street play or a puppet show or a no magic, no miracle stunt performance. Now again, there was many other performances as well, a lot of entertainment factors, over there. So either it would be a street play or a puppet show or a no magic, no miracle. Now here it is an extraordinary event that cannot be explained by science or logic. Well, we all are aware of the magic shows. So yeah, those. Then you had the stunt performance. Now stunts, we are all aware. An action displaying particular skill and act of courage. Scary stunts. Many of them do that. But yeah, many do it out of the need for the money. So they risk their lives and they go for it. Then all these would happen from time to time, but almost certainly there would be some entertainment or other going on. Now there was no time when there was nothing over there. Always there was something or the other happening. So from time to time, some or the other entertainment would keep going on there. Even otherwise, there were the coffee clubs in the bazaar, the way each waiter cooled the coffee, lifting a tumbler high up and pouring its content into a tumbler held in his other hand. A very common sight. Not only South India, of course, coffee, we know it's the best out there. But still, even otherwise, if you see, they hold two tumblers and they, pour the coffee like this, they keep cooling it down. So yeah, even that would keep happening over there. Or the way some people sat in front of their shops chopping up onion, their eyes turned elsewhere so that they would not smart. Now, when you chop onions, what's the view? If you haven't tried, go for it once. So yeah, you'll have automatic tears in your eyes. But that's how it was. So they used to chop up onions sitting in front of their shops, probably, a food shop selling something. Then you had the almond tree growing there and its fruit, which was occasionally blown down by the wind. Now almond tree, there was also the almond tree, and at times, very rarely, that fruit would blow down because of the wind would blow it down. All these sights taken together would tether my legs and stop me from going home. Now all these sights, all that we described right from the performing monkey till right here, all that would really, so imagine there were so many of them, and every time she visited, she would stop, she would watch, she would observe, and then move to the next. So all these taken together would tether my legs as in they would tie up in the sense stop my legs and stop me from going home. Now she had such a beautiful view every time to see, so why would she want to go home? So she would stay there. And then according to the season, there would be mango, cucumber, sugarcane, sweet potato, palm shoots, gram, palm syrup, palm fruit, guavas and jackfruit. Now according to the season, now as per the season, you would have all these fruits available as well. Every day I would see people selling sweet and savory fried snacks, payasam, halwa, boiled tamarind seeds and iced lollies. Now obviously when you go to a bazaar, you get everything. I mean, right from A to Z, everything is available. So these all were the different items that the people over there were selling in their shops. Gazing at all this, one day I came to my street, my bag slung over my shoulder. Now staring at all this, walking, observing, she was walking down her street and she had her bag slung on her shoulder because obviously she was coming back from school. At the opposite corner, though a threshing floor had been set up, opposite corner, now what is a threshing floor? It is a flattened surface to separate grain from straw. Now this is where they do the threshing. After the harvesting has been done, then comes the process of threshing. So there's especially, they put it up over there so that they can separate the grain from the straw. And the landlord watched the proceedings, seated on a piece of sacking spread over a stone ledge. A stone ledge is like a platform in the wall, So he had put a piece of sack, on that, and he was sitting and he was watching the people, the labor, do that. Our people were hard to work. Now, doing that threshing is not an easy job. So those poor people, they were working very hard. They work very hard, driving cattle in pairs, round and round to tread out the grain from the straw. Now, to tread out as in to walk in a certain manner. Now, they would take driving the cattle in pairs, they would go round and round, right, and they have to walk in a particular manner to remove the grain from the straw. That much hard work is required. The animals were muzzled so that they couldn't help themselves to the straw. Now, muzzled here is in their mouth was covered. It was covered with a cloth probably. Mouth is covered so that they don't start eating the straw. You know, obviously as animals they would just do that. I stood for a while there watching the fun. Just then an elder of our street came along from the direction of the bazaar. Now, while she was watching all this, an elderly person, he came of our street, from their street only, he came along from the direction of the bazaar. The manner in which he was walking along made me want to double up. Now, the manner in which that man was walking actually wanted, it really made me laugh out loud. I really wanted to laugh out. I wanted to shriek with laughter, laugh it out loud, with the sight of such a big man carrying a small packet in that fashion. Now, this is how he was carrying. He was a big man. He was carrying a small packet, but he was carrying it like this. Why was that? I guess there was something like vadai or green banana bhaji in the packet because the wrapping paper was stained with oil. Now, there was something oily inside. So, she kept wondering. She gave a guess. Maybe it is either of these two items. He came along holding out the packet by its string without touching it. He did not touch that packet. He was holding it with the string. I stood there thinking to myself, if he holds it like that, won't the package come undone and the vadais fall out? Now, either it's she said the way he's carrying the packet, I'm sure the whatever is inside will either fall out, it will come undone and it will open, the string, the packet will open, the wrapper will open, and whatever is inside will definitely fall out. She was wondering that. The elder went straight up to the landlord. He went up to the landlord, bowed low. Now, obviously, there was a reason for why he did that. He bowed low, as a servant he was, and he extended the packet towards him, cupping the hand that held the string with his other hand. Now, it was like this basically, right? So, he was giving it to him. He cupping the hand, he kept the other hand on that. The landlord opened the parcel and began to eat the vadais. Now, he was the landlord, he was the owner, and this man, the elderly person, he was an aged man, he was the servant. After I had watched all this, at last I went home. Now, she saw this scene, she laughed it out, and now she headed home. My elder brother was there. I told him the story in all its comic detail. Now, her elder brother was at home and she went and she told him that, she gave it out in every detail of humor, every sense of humor that she had witnessed, that she felt, oh, people were, how he was doing it and how she laughed it out. So, she gave the every detail of it in the very comic form. I fell about with laughter at the memory of a big man and an elder at that. First of all, he was big. Next, he was aged. Making such a game out of carrying the parcel. She was not aware. So she felt, why is he doing that? Why is he carrying it with a string? Why can't he just hold the packet? Why was he doing that? It's very funny. But Anand was not amused. She laughed it out because she was unaware. She was not aware. But Anand did not find it funny. He wasn't amused. He did not find it funny. Anand told me the man wasn't being funny when he carried the package like that. He started explaining to his younger sister. He said, look, that's not funny. There is a reason why he was carrying the packet like this. He said, everybody believed that they were upper caste and therefore must not touch us. If they did, they would be polluted. Now she's getting the facts which she was not aware of, the social evil, This is where she got to know about the real meaning of untouchability. So she felt big. That's what he explained to her. He said, you know what? All these people, they think they belong to the upper caste and they treat us as the lower caste. So because of that, they make sure that they don't touch us. So when he gave the thing like this, he did not touch the parcel. Directly the landlord took the parcel and he left the string. Why? So that the landlord would not touch him. And if he would touch him, they would feel that they are polluted. Polluted as in corrupted, defiled. They would feel spoiled sort of thing. That's why he had to carry the package by its string. When I heard this, now the whole scenario changes. All the bubbly, laughter, fun, so far she was enjoying. Now suddenly she gets to know, she realizes everything about untouchability. And this really bugs her. It really makes her angry. When I heard this, I didn't want to laugh anymore. And I felt terribly sad. How could they believe that it was disgusting if one of us held that package in his hands, even though the varai had been wrapped first in a banana leaf and then parceled in paper? This is how funny, how disgusting this is, how unpleasant it is. So what if we would have held the packet properly in our hand and handed it over to the landlord? What difference would it make? Those vadas were anyways packed in a banana leaf, then in a wrapper and then in a polythene. So how are we touching his items? It definitely wasn't the case. I felt so provoked. Provoked is now, she was getting that anger. She really felt that, oh, now I need to do something about it. Those types. She was provoked and angry that I wanted to touch those wretched vadas myself straight away. She said, now, you know what I feel like doing? I'm getting so angry that I feel like, those hateful vadas, actually now it's not the fault of the dish, but it's the fault of the perception, the concept actually. She said, I feel like going and touching them right now before he eats. She was so angry. Why should we have to fetch and carry for these people? I wondered. If that is the case, if they feel that we are untouchables, why on earth should we go and do it for them? Why do those petty jobs for them if this is what they feel? Such an important elder of ours goes meekly, he goes so, submissively to the shops to fetch snacks and hands them over reverently, bowing and shrinking to this fellow who just sits there and stuffs them into his mouth. The thought of it infuriated me. She says, why? Why such an elderly person? Why does he have to go down to that shop, buy the thing for that landlord, come back, hand it over to him? Hand it how? With full respect. You bow down. You just show, oh, I'm an untouchable. I'm the lower caste. You're the upper one. Why? Why would he want to do that? She was really angry, and that man, he just sits there and he keeps eating it up. That's it. She really infuriated. Now her level of anger had rose up. She was infuriated. How was it that these fellows thought so much of themselves? What makes them think so much? How even they have 2 eyes, 2 hands, 2 legs, the same body like us, just like they are humans. We also have a heart that beats. That does not, what makes them think that they are the upper caste? Because they had scrapped 4 coins together, just because they had made some money, they were a little more richer than ours. That's it. Did that mean they must lose all human feelings? Just because of that, you think you will have no respect for anybody? You cannot empathize anybody? But we too are human beings. Even we have a heart that beats. We have the same red color blood. Why this difference? Our people should never run these petty errands for these fellows. These small jobs, get this, get that, do this, do that. We should not do it only for them. We should work in their fields, take home our wages and leave it at that. She says all that we should do is, yes, go to their fields, do our work, get the salary, get the pay and just come back. We should not do all these petty jobs for them. My elder brother, who was studying at a university, had come home for the holidays. he would often go to the library in our neighboring village in order to borrow books. Now, because he had come from the university, obviously he will need his books to read. So what he would do, they did not have it in their village. So the neighboring village, the village which was close to their village, the next one, he would go there in order to buy books or to borrow books. He was on his way home one day, walking along the banks of the irrigation tank. You can see this. He was coming back home one day, and one fine day on the banks, you can see the land alongside the river. Irrigation tank is related to water supply. So next to that, there was the road, and he was walking along that road. One of the landlord's men, you remember the landlord, the upper caste? Yes. He came up behind him, one of his men, not landlord himself. He thought, my Anand looked unfamiliar. He had not seen that man before. He had not seen Anand before, the girl's brother. And why was the case? Because he was studying at a university. He wouldn't stay there. He had just come for holidays. So maybe that man had seen him for the very first time. And so he asked, who are you, Appa? What's your name? Anand told him his name. Immediately, the other man asked, Thambi, on which street do you live? Now first he asked him his name. Then he asked him, Thambi here means a Tamil word for brother, right? So brother, on which street do you live? Now why did he ask him on which street do you live? See this. The point of this was that if he knew on which street we lived, he would know our caste too. Yes, that's the community. The whole community stayed in one particular area. So if he would name that area, he would understand he belongs to the lower caste. Anand told me all these things, and he added, because we are born into this community, into that group of people which is, treated as untouchables, we are never given any honor or dignity or respect. No one looks at us with total respect. We are stripped of all that. We don't get all this. We don't deserve according to them. Nobody really respects us. No admiration, no love, no respect, no human feelings. But now he is also guiding her. He is not leaving her with the problem. He is heading her, he is directing her towards the solution. He tells her, but if we study and make progress, we can throw away these indignities. Indignities as in the humiliation, the disrespect. See, remember one thing. Every problem comes with a solution. It's basically where your focus is. Are you focusing round and round the problem? Oh, this is my problem. Oh, this, oh, this, oh, this. Please stop. Stop at that and turn towards the solution. Focus on the solution. Find the solution, because every problem definitely comes with a solution. So this is what her brother was guiding her. He said, look, if you really study hard, you can definitely make progress and, eradicate all this, move all this. So study with care. Learn all you can. If you are always ahead in your lessons, people will come to you of their own accord. They will come to you themselves. You will not have to go to them, because you will excel, you will become a master in something. People will need you, they will come to you and attach themselves to you and befriend you and become your friends. Work hard and learn. Very, very beautiful, very significant message given by the elder brother to his younger sister. Now, you need to understand, it is when you work hard, when you learn, when you excel in something, remember, you are the master. People come to you for your services. So yes, better make sure you do the same. The words that Anand spoke to me that day made a very deep impression on me. Now, those were the words which really touched the bottom of her heart. She was totally impressed. She felt that, okay, I'm sure this is something that I really need to work upon. I studied hard with all my breath and being, in a frenzy almost. She said, After that, I realized, because she could not take the pain of being an untouchable, being treated like an untouchable, so she made sure that she studied hard day and night. She was absorbed in her books, and she made sure that she gives a commendable performance in her exams. As Anand had urged, I stood first in my class, and because of that, many people became my friends. Here her journey had started. Yes, she did top her class, but then she realized, she felt the value, she felt her worth, and obviously she must have gone ahead with the same zeal, with the same enthusiasm to conquer the world. And this is what this chapter tells us. I raise up my voice, not so I can shout. I am not raising my voice. I don't want to shout it out. But why? But so that those without a voice can be heard. There are people who don't voice it out, who are not in that situation. They are not in that condition to voice it out. So I raise my voice on behalf of everyone. We cannot succeed when half of us are held back. We all will succeed only when we all move ahead hand in hand. We have to make sure that we go along together. We move ahead towards progress together. Just like you and me, we are moving hand in hand right now, moving ahead towards your success. Yes, so keep studying hard, keep watching, and keep learning.